Hey everybody, welcome again to another Shaper Sessions. This Shaper Sessions is focused on premium projects. We got a pretty exciting show for you today. I'm in Oakland again. I have Jake over in San Francisco. Say hey, Jake.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us.
All right, and then I have Liz also in Oakland at her house. She's going to be joining in today as well.
Hello.
Okay, so now here's what we got for you today. So we're going to start with something a little different. I'm going to show you a little bit about ShaperHub and premium projects, just for people who haven't seen it before. And then the show is going to go into a little bit of a different thing. We actually have a person who couldn't be here today, so we pre-recorded an interview yesterday with them. So we'll show that for a little bit to talk about premium projects as a whole. And then we'll go into another pre-recorded video with one of the designers of one of the premium projects. And then we'll jump back into San Francisco, where Jake and I will talk through some of the premium projects and show a couple things off. So to get started, I'm going to go ahead and go over here. So for those of you who haven't seen it, ShaperHub is our digital service that allows you to sync your files from the website to your tool, and then also kind of share your projects with people. So for instance, if we go up here, I can go to view all projects, and I can see a bunch of projects that people have built, and these are all available. So, you know, for instance, we can check out this table here, and you can see how to build the project. There's instructions. These are actually created by a lot of our community members. And then premium projects, which we just announced, is actually a offering from us, which is a little more curated. They are kind of one of a kind making experiences, and they're a really cool way to learn things about Origin, to spend your time building things. It's just a really cool thing. This is Jonas. He's one of the creators of one of the projects, and we have an interview with him coming up that you'll get to see in this session. And then the last thing I really talk about is these proposals, which are premium projects that are possibly coming to ShaperHub. You have the chance to interact and vote and show which projects you want to see. There's some pictures about, you know, what this project is, what you're going to learn, that kind of stuff. And then, you know, these will come available over time if there's enough interest, and we can make them. So that's kind of an intro to ShaperHub premium projects. But I want to go ahead and jump into a video that we did over with Josh and Liz yesterday. Noah, maybe you can pull that up now. And this one's going to run about 15 minutes, but it has a lot of information about premium projects, the thoughts behind it, a lot of information. So go ahead and play that, Noah.
Okay, so I'm here with Josh and Liz. First, let's introduce each of you so everyone knows who we're talking to. Maybe Josh, you can start.
Sure. Yeah, so yeah, thank you everybody for accepting that I can't join live. I'm in the UK, so it's very late for me. Actually early, I should say. It's about 4 a.m. right now. But yeah, a bit about me. So I joined Publish Shaper about a year ago now, coming up to, I think, as digital product manager for ShaperHub, actually. So that was where my focus was. I came from OpenDesk, focusing a lot on, well, what OpenDesk was, which was a platform for local making. We were focused on sharing digital design and documentation, digital design and manufacturing documentation for furniture that could be made locally. So there's lots of parallels with obviously what ShaperHub is around the sharing of project documentation. Since then, more recently, I've actually taken up my new role as head of product, looking after products across all initiatives in the company. Yeah, so that's me.
Awesome. And then maybe we'll go over to you, Liz. You're actually in California, right next to me, but we're all at home. So we're doing this via video as well. But Liz, can you explain a little bit about yourself and how long you've been at Shaper?
Sure. Yeah. So I am a senior front-end engineer at Shaper. That means that I mostly work on web software. I've been focused on ShaperHub for basically the entire time that I've been here, which has been about just over 2 years at this point.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I know. So let's jump into it. So Josh, I got a question for you. Let's talk about premium projects and what's different.
Definitely. Okay, so I think many people on the live stream will know full well that there's plenty of online-based DIY project platforms out there, right? But there are really very few that do design curation over volume well. This is something that I care a lot about. I've always felt disappointed almost when I realized the disparity between the brands that I aspire to buy from and the projects which I am led to believe I can produce, right? I actually want to believe I can produce, beautiful things, bridging the gap between consumption and production and consumption, sorry. So premium projects, we really wanted to raise the bar, bring a design eye into the curation process. Beyond that, it was also very important to us that we really built on the affordances of our, amazing tools, right? So we've got Origin and Workstation. They are entirely new products that allow us to deliver documentation, instructional information in an entirely new way. How we integrate those tools can really change the way that these projects are delivered. Our tools are also, Origin is, a very powerful and capable tool. There's an awful lot that you can do with it. Premium projects are a great way of showing people the multitude of applications for Origin, whilst also delivering quite beautiful end products.
Yeah, and maybe for people who aren't, familiar with ShaperHub, we previously had community projects where people can create files on their own computers, upload them to ShaperHub, and then share them with specific people or kind of publicly share their projects. Premium projects is a new breed of that, which are curated by us and are very fine, beautiful projects that we've tested and made sure that you can go from start to finish with. If you haven't checked it out, you can just go to shaperhub.com and see a lot of that stuff there. Okay, so Liz, one of the questions I've heard a little bit about is, how do premium projects positively impact the rest of ShaperHub, namely community projects?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for anyone who's seen premium projects, you've probably noticed that there's a huge difference in not only the content, but also the layout of the site and the features that we have available for premium projects. So, premium projects for me has been a great way to explore different features and layouts and site designs that we can use to convey project instructions, etc. And a lot of this stuff has been kind of experimental for us and pushing the bounds of what we've done before. So we really are excited for that, and also are excited to bring some of those features to community projects. So not only do we hope that the content will kind of encourage users to make more beautiful projects and continue to make beautiful projects to share, but we also want to bring the tools that are available to make the presentation of a beautiful project also beautiful to community projects. So yeah.
Totally. And we've seen some really good community projects out there as of recent that are doing their own documentation, beautiful photos, all that. I think it's maybe worth mentioning, we're already looking at some of those really great project creators to maybe possibly be future premium project candidates. So, down the road, there's opportunities for a lot of crossover between community and premium, and we'll kind of see how that develops over time. Josh, one question from me, there's this idea of premium projects, are actually paid projects by consumers now. And previously, ShaperHub was all free content. So there's a question of, should everything be free on ShaperHub? And I want to know kind of how you feel about this.
Totally, yeah. I think there's a home on ShaperHub for content that is available at no cost and content which must be paid for. There's plenty of examples out there of platforms that balance user-generated content with paid content, very effectively. They're, where the two offerings are entirely different. One example would be YouTube, for example, relatively recently introducing, movies which you can rent and buy alongside the user-generated content, which YouTube's obviously very well known for. The user-generated content continues to be the most successful element of YouTube, but there is a place for paid premium content, right? So I look at ShaperHub as the opportunities of ShaperHub being very similar, but the kind of bigger question I think you're raising has two key components for me. One is, when we say free, do we mean free as in cost, or do we mean free as in freedom, i.e. I can do whatever I want with someone else's content? So just approaching the first one, free as in cost, I think it's just important to remember that, you know, in order to support the development of high quality projects, from our side, from Shaper's side, in terms of the curation that we do, the funding that we put behind it to make sure that all the documentation is reliable and accurate, you know, that takes time and money from us. And also just supporting the you know, the project creators themselves, making it sustainable for them so that creators have a, you know, sustainable avenue to market. That's also highly, you know, very important. So if we value this high quality content and it's something that users are really enjoying, then this is absolutely the most effective way to sustain it. The other key part to this is free as in freedom, i.e. I can do whatever I want. And I think that's a really important one for us all to study more and educate ourselves on, because we should really never assume that we can do whatever we want with someone else's work. On ShaperHub today, all work that is shared by anybody in the community is shared under a Creative Commons license. It's actually called a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike license, which has three key components to it. Basically, those components afford certain permissions based around fair use, and it's really important that those are respected if you really want to be part of a community that collaborates effectively and in a way that is respectful. So this is a really important part to this discussion. We want all creators, be it community project creators or premium project creators, to have a way of distributing their knowledge and projects in a way that they can trust and feel is a safe way for them to go about that distribution process.
Yeah, no, I agreed on that. And I think this kind of leads into a question about the creators that maybe you can shed some light on too, Josh. Is, you know, can anyone be a premium project creator, or only certain people's? And how are we curating the premium project creators right now?
Yeah, so I mean, basically the short answer is no. Not everyone can be a premium project creator. There's a very deliberate effort from us to curate the projects that we actually bring through as premium projects. That's in the interest of actually building all the premium projects as a collective into a collection. We want that collection to be cohesive, and that requires coordination and consideration from us, right? If we just turn premium projects into a free-for-all where anybody contribute, that level of quality would very quickly be eroded, and the aura, if you like, that surrounds some of these projects because of their you know, the level of quality they hit and their perhaps like even exclusivity to an extent, would very quickly matter for nothing. So it is important to us that we curate. The other reason why it's important is that a lot of testing effort goes into the projects from our side to make sure that the documentation is accurate and correct.
Yeah, for anyone who's been around ShaperHub for a while, you know, it's easy to find a project you like on the community side, download it, and find out the file's not correctly set up, or there's no instructions, and you kind of have to figure it out yourself. And I think there's a level, once people are getting into premium, they're going to see that, you know, these have been tested by multiple people, figured out, and ideally, you know, there's no problems with it. So it's more of a fun exercise of learning and making, rather than problem solving someone else's problems that may have not been illuminated in the first place, you know.
Totally.
Okay, so, you know, let's jump over to Liz for a minute. You know, why not just develop premium projects in-house, and why do we think it's important to work with external contributors?
Yeah, I mean, we have developed a couple premium projects in-house, but, you know, we think it is really important to work with external creators to give us a broader range of projects and perspectives, projects that not only would be more appealing to different people in our user base, but also highlight different capabilities with Origin and techniques that you can use. Like some of the premium creators that we've had already have developed ways of using Origin that like we have not even thought of before, which is really, really cool to see. Yeah, and we're excited to see like what have other people thought of.
Yeah, I think this actually leads me into something that we've been talking a little bit about internally, but there's this whole movement going on right now about Black Lives Matters and racial equality, and maybe this is a good time, Liz, for you to talk about what exactly are we doing about that at Shaper. I think this kind of feeds into the last question some, but I would like to hear a little bit more from you.
Yeah, that does tie in pretty well to this. So, I mean, with regards to premium projects specifically, we are trying to reach out and have a broader range of creators, not only just to have more diverse creators, but like bring in more diverse perspectives, more diverse projects, more diverse techniques. Having many people from different perspectives and backgrounds can really bring new ideas into the space. And one of the things we're excited about for premium projects is having them as a teaching and learning tool for learning new techniques. This topic is something that we care a lot about at Shaper, and we know that our users care about too. We've seen discussions in the forum around having more diverse premium project creators. We are working on it. This is a topic that's really important to me personally, also as a woman who works in a technical field. I am a minority. One of the aspects that I think that's really important for having featuring minorities as premium project creators, women, racial minorities, is having someone featured and showcased that you can personally relate with is really encouraging and empowering. So I would love to see female creators featured as premium projects. I would love to see other people featured as well. And we are working on that and reaching out to diverse groups of creators. It is a long process, however, to go through first contacting someone and actually having a premium project ready. So we're working on it. It takes a while.
Awesome. Okay, now one question for you, Josh. There's a new type of premium project called a project proposal, and maybe you can talk a little bit about what that is and why we're doing it.
Sure. So what is a project proposal? It's essentially a very short tidbit of what a premium project could be. So it just is an indication of something that a creator is proposing could be developed into a premium project. Anybody can vote for a project proposal to say, hey, this is a project that I want to build. I would like to see this developed into a full premium project with all the bells and whistles that are associated with premium projects. And yeah, it's something where we want people to engage with voting for project proposals. We can get a lot of feedback around what people want to build, what they want to see come to ShaperHub next. So that's what they are. Why we did it so that we could really involve the community in the process of telling us, indicating what they would like to build. We've already learned an awful lot about what the current ShaperHub user base wants to build. The bundle trestle and stock chair perform very well. We've had well over 100 votes for each of them. If you haven't already voted for a project proposal that's up today, I strongly advise that you do, because we're going to reach out to people who have voted to try and obtain some feedback as to how people would like to see that project developed into a full premium project. What tools would you like to see used? What techniques would you like to learn? What do you think a fair price to pay for the project would be? All these kind of things that will help us deliver a final premium project that really meets the expectations of ShaperHub users today.
Boy. No, I think that is really cool, and we're seeing a lot of interaction with the voting. So if you haven't voted, go on ShaperHub, take a look at the premium projects drop down on the page, and you'll be able to see the ones you can vote for that are not fully developed yet. get on that list, vote, and we'll be in contact soon with some questions, and you'll see a lot more interaction there. So, okay, so we're about to wrap up, but I do have one last question. I think this is probably one of the questions on most people's minds, and maybe Josh, you can take this one. What's next for ShaperHub and Premium projects?
Yeah, so I think we touched on it earlier. Liz touched on it earlier. One key thing is to enhance community projects. There's a lot of exciting features that came with Premium projects. We want to bring some of those over to the community, provide tools that allow the community to present their projects better and present documentation better. So we really want to help people bridge the gap between what they see today as Premium projects, which they may aspire to, and what can be achieved today with community projects. In addition to that, we want to obviously develop more Premium projects. It goes without saying. We've already had an awful lot of feedback from the project proposal engagement, the bundle trestle and stock chair, two projects that we really want to develop. As I say again, if you haven't voted for those project proposals and would like to, make sure you do, so that we can include you in the feedback and learning process around how we develop those projects. We've also got some exciting new projects from a creator who we've actually been working with for a long time, who was pretty badly affected by the COVID-19 disruption. His work's actually just really being concluded now, so soon we expect to have some fresh projects from that creator as well.
Okay, well, I think that's about our time. Thanks, Josh. Thanks, Liz, for being with us, and we look forward to the future of ShaperHub.
All right, so that's a little intro to some of the thoughts behind Premium projects. Now we're going to jump into one other video real quick. This is actually a video with Jonas, one of the project creators. I think it gives some really good insight into his thought process while he's building it and how he used Origin. So let's go ahead and cue that one up. Noah?
I'm joined now by Jonas Winkler, creator of the Lattice Lamp Premium project, which you may have seen. Jonas runs a really successful Instagram and YouTube channel. So we'll get into it with Jonas and talk a little bit more about the inspiration behind his Lattice Lamp project. So Jonas, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us how you got into the world of design and making.
Hey, as you've already heard, I am Jonas Winkler, and I'm a product designer and master carpenter from Germany. And that's basically my background. As you said, I am running an Instagram and YouTube channel where I mainly focus on teaching like my techniques and also my background, which is heavily based by Japanese culture and the way they look at wood. And that is also something that inspired this lamp right behind me.
Awesome. So let's jump into that. Shed a little more light on the inspiration behind the Lattice Lamp and how Origin and Workstation allowed you to achieve things that wouldn't have otherwise been possible.
Sure. So the Lattice Lamp, as you can see, is greatly inspired by Japanese kumiko work, which is a very intricate technique of joining very small pieces very precisely. And that is also the biggest problem with it, because it is very appealing, but for many people, it is just way too tedious and very hard to get into. And when I first got my Origin, my first thought was like, that is the perfect kumiko hack, because the machine is so precise that we maybe could route out all these patterns very easily. And once you've invited me to use the workstation, the technique was even easier, because combining Origin and Workstation made cutting these panels super easy. And yeah, that is basically what inspired me, because I always wanted to give like something like a kumiko hack, and the Origin basically is the perfect hack for it.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So let's talk about your values as a designer maker, and why sharing your knowledge and expertise in this way is important to you, and what you hope people will get out of the Lattice Lamp project.
So being a product designer and a master carpenter is a very neat combination, because I know how to design pieces and I also know how to build them. And as I said, I am greatly inspired by Japanese culture and their way of looking at wood, which is, you don't need a very intricate build. You just need to make the wood beautiful, which is quite easy because wood is really beautiful. And the Lattice Lamp is kind of a perfect project to showcase this, because the lamp itself is super simple. There's not much to it, but due to working with different woods and working with Origin, the wood itself can shine and be beautiful in itself. And I think this way of looking at wood and how we work with it is it is just beautiful. And I really hope that more people can understand and see the beauty in wood and work accordingly. And I really hope that due to the premium project, we can share this idea a little bit better than just through YouTube and Instagram, which is not the best platform to share knowledge like this.
And how do you think premium projects increases the accessibility of information around these projects? Thinking about things like language and just generally like communication, and how intuitive and accessible this is as a project type.
Language is a problem for a German YouTube channel, because obviously not everyone is speaking German. So it is quite hard to get the information out of Germany. The premium projects, on the other hand, are very easy to get around the world, because first, they are in English. Second, there is a manual to it, which is very, very greatly curated. When I first saw the finished manual for the project, for the Lattice Lamp, I was shocked. I mean, I basically wrote all the steps, but I could not imagine a manual this greatly designed, so easy to understand. It is almost as easy as you could just build the whole lamp by just looking at the pictures, which is amazing, because suddenly language isn't a problem anymore, because you can just look at what you see and then combine it with the Origin, because all the measurements, all the settings are in the manual. So you can basically just look at it, use Origin, and create a beautiful piece. It is so easy, and it is way easier than using all the other platforms that are out there, because one big problem is, if I should share my project on a different website, people might think, everything is as great as this project. And that is not always the case, but on premium projects where it is curated by your team, I'm pretty sure that every manual has the same quality, a very, very high standard. That is, for me as a designer, always very important to have a high standard in every project. And yeah, that's why I chose premium projects, because it's just amazing.
Awesome. Really nicely put, Jonas. Well, we'll wrap it up there. We're short on time. So thank you very much for giving your honest thoughts. We obviously got a number of project proposals up from you as well. The stock chair, which is very popular, and the tool cabinet, which is actually just behind you. So we look forward to developing those. If listeners, viewers haven't yet done so, definitely go and vote for those projects if you would like to see them brought to Shaperhub as full premium projects. So yeah, onwards and upwards, Jonas. We look forward to the next project.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. There we go. So that's a little bit of words from one of the creators. He did the Lattice Lamp project. It's a pretty fun one. And now let's get back into the live part of this. So, Jakey, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Awesome. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into Jake's workshop, and we're gonna kind of walk through some of the things about premium projects that make it really awesome in my mind. And I think Jake's going to show off kind of the instructions and a little bit of parts of a project that we think are really cool.
Exactly. Specifically, I'm going to focus on the shop stool, which is right underneath me. So
nice.
I love this stool. There's so many different ways of joinery that I have never thought of, and the fact that all of it can be done on Origin using the workstation, it's just such a joy to get that final assembly and everything just clicks into place so nicely. So I want to dive in a little bit on the joinery, specifically on these little butterfly locking key pieces. So we go over to my second camera. I have each step of the process of cutting out the locking key illustrated here. And then all the instructions are on my cell phone right now. So I just want to show you the mobile platform. I'm going to step through that and show you how each one applies. So
yeah, maybe real quick for people who don't know, when you buy the premium project, you actually get this really nice full instruction set, step by step. So you actually can kind of walk through the whole thing just on your phone or your computer, and it really will guide you through making the project. So this is not similar to the community projects where someone has typed out a lot of things. We actually have like a whole app that lives in the mobile view where you can see all the steps. So yeah.
Exactly. And it shows you exactly what you're going to need. It gives you your digital assets. So in this case, it's just the locking key SVG, and kind of just helps you understand where you're going to lay it out in your material, and then goes step by step through the cutting process. So this one's an interesting one because we're using a cutter that we're not used to. We're using a roundover cutter. What's actually called a point cutter, and it's an 1/8 of an inch in diameter. So it's going to give us this radius cut, which is going to allow it to slip into the radius slot on the stool itself. And we'll show that more up closely afterwards. And back to the phone. So it's going to show us each step of the way. Then we're clearing out material. And when I go into cut settings, it's giving me each pass, each depth, what my offset should be, and my plunge speed, auto speed, everything I need to know. So there's no questions as I go through each step of cutting this piece out. And back to my camera. Once I have it cut, I have a full solid locking piece. So as I show you a little closer, that radius I was talking about, that's what's going to really clip in and hold the joint in 3 different directions, which looks like this. It's a little
Yeah, I
tough
think
to
what's
see in the
really
shadow.
cool.
Go for it, Sean.
Yeah, maybe I wanted to kind of quickly show, because I think one of the really cool things about this is the way it locks. So, everyone's used to, using Origin to inlay butterflies to lock 2 pieces of wood together. But this design has a really cool feature where, and this is a partially cut stool, so it's not Jake's full one, but I want to show you what I mean here. So this is the leg here for the stool, and it fits in here, and you can kind of see there's a little slot for it, and it fits in there, and that allows the connection to happen. Now, what's really cool about this is the butterfly also locks the bottom in here. So when I push this down, let's see if you can see it, you'll see how it now is locked in there, and then this piece can't come out. But very easily, when you're test fitting, when you're trying to get it right, you can actually just kind of take it in and out, and as you're assembling it, which I think is a really cool feature that I don't think I've ever seen before. And I think it's like one of the really one of the things about premium projects is there's these little tips and tricks, and a lot of people who are coming to these sessions are trying to learn tips and tricks, and these premium projects are loaded full of them. I mean, I think that Jake, I think you have the lattice there as well, and maybe you can show the lattice lamp a little bit.
I do, just back here. If anyone's familiar with a castle joint, you'll know it's notoriously difficult to do. It's very finicky, and being able to do not only the lattice structure, but the castle joints as well, all on tool. Let me show you a little closer. So from the top view, that castle joint, it's 3 parts that just click in beautifully together. This whole thing is friction fit, so being able to really dial in that friction just enough so it holds up is very satisfying. And the repeatability on Workstation.
Yeah, exactly. That was my point. I think, with Workstation, some of these projects just get so much nicer than using one of the homemade built ones. I mean, there's a lot of good ones out there, but we've really taken the Workstation and really focused on how do we get those repeatable, really precise cuts with kind of a really easy use of setup. And so, Jake, maybe you can maybe you can pop that piece off the spoil board there and show people up close a little bit more of the steps as you go through that, because, I think one of the things that you'll see in a few of these premium projects are actually using round over cutters, using engraving bits that create fillets where you can't actually get there after the fact. And I think it's a pretty cool little trick there.
Are you talking about the lattice lamp or the stool itself?
Yeah, I'm just talking about the stool.
So
just so people can see a little bit more up close.
Yeah. So what I also love about subtractive work like this is you just look at a piece of wood, and inside this piece of wood is this hiding in there, and just step by step we excavate it. So we do the fine details on top, getting that radius. Then we clear out that top material, getting ready for the butterfly shape, and then we cut it completely out. And this is pretty thick stock too. It's 1 1/8, and as long as you're very methodical about it and you have a nice sharp cutter, you will be able to pop this piece out. Repeatable. This is just an offcut, so I can get all my locking keys out of this because I can just nest them together before I cut.
Totally. And maybe you can show one of the things in the app. Just show them how it tells you everything you need in the project, like all the materials, all the bits you're going to need. I think there's some really cool things that people can see there.
Pull down. So I have my project instructions, which we were looking at earlier. I have my project bill of materials. So if I click that, let's see what kind of tools I need. I need Shaper Origin, of course. I need a long reach cutter, Shaper tape, orbital sander. Gives you kind of a list and links to all the tools in case if you're looking to build your tool arsenal and kind of and prepare yourself for not only just future premium projects, but future projects in general. So I'm going to go back, and as well as all your 2D cutting files, technical drawings, 3D models. So if you want to kind of understand how things are put together, you can dive into the 3D models and see it and tweak it and do whatever you want.
Yeah, it's really cool. I think that we've already had a couple people change some of those, and kind of part of the license agreement when you purchase one is that you get all the 3D files. You can and 2D files you can modify them as wanted, as long as you're not republishing them anywhere for personal use. So I think there's some really cool projects out there. I will also say there is one free project out there for everyone, and maybe you can go to that one real quick, Jake. There's a candle holder that's really a nice first project. It teaches you a bit about how to get files on tool, how to use offsets, and then also how to create design straight on tool when you already have a partial file there, which is quite useful a lot of times.
Sean, you might have the free one ready to go.
Yeah, here, let me just pop over here real quick. Okay, so I'm going to go up to here, and you'll notice once you purchase the premium projects, they'll kind of show up in this new list called Premium List. And here is the candle holder project. Let's go into this one. Okay, so this is the photo of the project here, and it tells you everything you're going to learn how to make. The same thing with the instructions and whatnot. So I think it's a really great project, especially for people who are, and this is actually, I forgot, it's a project by Josh. We also have I'll go ahead and give Noah a little shout out. Noah's running the computer in the background, but he actually designed this pin tray. Let me just go here real quick so you guys can see it. This is a really cool pin tray that allows you to put all your pins in a certain thing. And there's some really cool techniques about how to cut the inside cut so you can fit the top piece. But, like I said, there's a lot of really cool techniques and tips and tricks, how to use grid, how to use offsets, how to use specialty cutters. So there's a lot there. Anyone can go and see a lot of this stuff. And then once you purchase it, you'll get access to everything else. So, okay. So I think that's pretty much it right now. I think, we're about at time now. So I want to say, Jake, thank you for showing a few of those things.
Of course.
It's pretty exciting to see them, and even more exciting to build them. I know I forgot. I actually have a couple here. So here's the little candle holder, and then this is the little coaster trivet. So there's a coaster and trivet set that has a really cool design in it. So make sure you check those out. And I think that's going to do it for us today. Just wanted to say thank you guys for showing up today, and we'll see you guys next time.